What's going on, guys? It's Dennis over at One Stop Board Shop. We are doing another video on bearing changes. This time we have a customer that wants to go ahead and put some SKFs into their board. SKFs are really premium quality bearings that are fantastic, ride a long time, as long as you take care of your board and these bearings. So what I'm going to need for this, obviously, is a couple different tools. We use a 3-ton arbor press for pressing in the bearings themselves, and then also to get the hub and motor cover plate off, you need a number 5 metric bit and a number 3 metric bit, so that way you can get both the inner hub bolts and the motor plate cover off. After that, I will need obviously a wooden dowel and a little mallet to be able to kind of tap out the stator, and then we're going to go ahead and get to the bearings and show you what we do. So I'm going to start off with getting the axle block off of the valve stem side, so that way when we go ahead and tap it out, this is already taken off and we can then pull it out from the hub. One thing to note is when doing this, it's good to have the tire still inflated so that we have some grip to be able to either step on it and or squeeze in between your legs to pull the stator out, okay? All right, so for this step, I got a drill so that way I can get it out. If you don't have a drill and you have anything at home, either you're using 2 different Allen keys to be able to hold on, one on each side, and or put it in a vise. Putting it in a vise is easy enough. This is just the quickest way that I can grab it and get it done. And as you can see, some people like to put a little bit of extra Loctite in there to be able to make sure that it stays on. You don't want to put too much or else it's going to be all dusty just like that. So now that the axle block is taken off, I'm going to go ahead and take that off, make sure that it's nice and clear, and then move off to the other side. And then on this side, I'm going to take my gyroscopic drill here, and then just take off these off the motor cover. Set that off to the side so it doesn't get lost. All right, now that all 7 screws are off, what we're going to do is to pull this out, just to give it a little bit of an easier time, I'm going to smack with a wooden dowel right here and my mallet to pop it down some, and then be able to grip on the other side and pull this out, okay? So I'm going to take it over here to my stand, take my mallet and give it a couple taps. As you can hear, now it's a little bit more loose and has play. Look on the other side, my motor cover has now popped off some. It is not exactly on top. The next thing I'm going to do is take it to the ground. So now you can either put it between your knees, step on it, whatever you need to do. Just grab and pull. Now that it's off, you're going to see that you have your O-ring bearings here. A lot of the time, some people don't realize this, but it got split, and sometimes that gives you a little bit of an issue and wear in your motor. So you want to go ahead and take these off and replace these with every single bearing change, or at least that's what we do in ours, just to make sure that it gives a longevity and health to your bearings, okay? After that, what we're going to do is we're going to take off the motor plate by taking off the axle bracket and being able to access the bearing that's in the motor cover plate, as well as take the one that's on the inside of the motor here. Always be careful with these. These are magnetic, of course. If you ever try and put your hand in or around the inside of the hub, you can easily snap your fingers off because these have really strong force of pull, and it's pretty dangerous. So just make sure you're taking care of yourself. But as you see, we're going to clean this up, take the bearing out that's inside of the hub, and get these SKFs in. Look at that amount of Loctite. So this is not what you want to do. You do not want to have that much Loctite on your threads. It is gunked up, and obviously we're going to clean it off and put some more on there to be able to make sure it's appropriate. But I mean, this thing was kind of hard to get off. Look at that. That's insane, and that's why we had so many issues. Now that we got the axle block off, what you're going to do is you're going to pry and pop off the motor plate, fish through your cable. Make sure you don't damage it, obviously. You don't want to mess up your harness there, so that way it doesn't get messed up and have to do some repairs to it. But as you can see, here's the second O-ring, and you're going to replace both the one on each side. So I'm going to take it off. Obviously, you can pop it because you're not using that anymore, and then grab some new ones. And you always want to make sure you clear all the stuff around it. Obviously, some can be stuck and left over. Okay. And then just pop on your new one. Fish around the cables once again. Slap it on. Put it in its groove. Flip it over. Same thing on this side. Make sure it's clear. And no residual O-ring from the orange ones that are left. The stock ones from FN aren't the greatest. As you can see, they fray off, and then you just get your new ones put on, okay? So now we move on to the bearings. You're going to take your bearing out of here and out of the inside of your hub here. So like I said, we're putting in these SKFs. These are really great premium bearings. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move over to the bearing press here, okay? I'm going to take my smaller bearing press and get it nice in position, nice and centered, so that way we're pushing on the outer race there, or the inner race, and not doing anything. Always be careful. These are really powerful and don't want to catch your fingers. Take some leverage and push, drop through. Don't push too hard, too fast. Nice and easy does it, so that way you don't damage the motor plate itself. Go ahead and take a rag and clean out the inside, so that way there's no dirt or debris or any grime getting into your new bearing space. What we're going to take is some bearing lubricant here, so that way when we ease it in, it's not just metal grinding against metal. It gives us some lubricant to be able to press in just fine and easy, and making sure it's nice and level when we do it. So you just take a little bit and put it on the edge. There will be some residual that pops out, but you just clean it off at the end there. As you can see, I'm taking the letter side and putting it down in. You want to make sure it is as level as you can get it. I try to get it adjusted as nice as I can, so that way when I press it in with my now larger bearing spacer here, I just place it on top, and then I'm going to go ahead and take it out and then press it in, okay? Like I said, always just make sure you're getting it nice and level and even, right? So it's a good, easy bearing press in. Hopefully it goes right. A little bit of pressure and bam.
Nice.
As you can see, it's now seated. What I'd like to do is just go ahead and double check and make sure by twisting it a little bit, giving a little press to be able to make sure on each side it is level and in. You don't want it to be unlevel, because then of course you put it back into your motor, it's not going to be sitting right and it's not going to roll right. As you can see, the lubricant is still there, obviously, so what am I going to do? I'm going to go ahead, take this off, wipe my tools down, right? And then wipe off the excess from the bearing. And then as you can see now, you can tell that you have SKFs right in your motor plate. All right, so what we're now going to do is go ahead and fish our wires back in through and put it back on. You won't really feel that click, but if you look down, this still has a little bit of way to go, okay? Whenever, if you were to try and put your axle block back on and then put this back in, you'd still have a gap in between here and the where the motor plate's supposed to go. So what we're going to do now is take this, flip it upside down. Just a nice, easy, until you feel that little extra push go. And now you can see in between there, that gap has been filled, okay? Now obviously at this point you can take your axle block, put it on, and then slip it in, but we still have to do the other side. So same thing, We're going to take this, flip it over, get my little bearing press spacer again, except now it's going to be a little bit tougher. All right. Make sure it's nice and even as always. Don't press too hard and slam into it or it's going to bang into the rim. Nice and easy, and drop those bearings out. Once again, you want to take your rag, clean the inside. At this point, you can check to see if there's any issues with the stator rubbing. Okay. So for this side, when you're going inside the hub, you want to be really careful. Obviously, all these are magnets. Really, really strong stuff. Once again, you're getting this big push going through. And if you don't pay attention to how centered it is, you could accidentally have the magnets go onto the bearing push. So just be careful when doing this side. If you do have a bearing press and you're doing this, it could potentially scrape the magnets, and that's just going to be bad for your motor. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and apply some bearing lubricant again to the bearing, so that way it goes with a clean, easy press. Okay. And again, those SKF lettering I like to put on the outside, so I'm going to go ahead and dip it in, make sure that it's in there, let the customer know that they got the good stuff. Press it in, make sure it is level as possible. Sometimes it doesn't, you just got to end up pushing around just to make sure. And then take my big bearing spacer here, press it on top, and then drop it in. As I said before, be very careful, be very mindful of where this is. You don't want it to accidentally hit the sidewalls, okay? So as I go in, I'm going to take it and press down. Nice and easy does it, and bam, very smooth. I always, once again, minor little turns just to make sure that it is evenly pressed in on each side. I don't want to leave anything to chance, even though that was a very smooth insertion. Okay, you want to clear out your lubricant so that way it is now gone and you're not leaving any crap inside when you put the motor back in. As you can see, it's a clean install. As you can see, now you got your bearings in place, looking and feeling great when you're going to go for a ride. Okay, now at this point, and go ahead and drop the stator back in. All right, so when putting the axle block back on, we had a lot of crap on here that I had to kind of scrape off. What you're going to want to do is put a little bit of Loctite or Vibrotite, any third locker really, the blue type, and just, a little bit goes a long way. You don't have to put a lot. That'll go ahead and get through all the threads that it needs to and stay locked in pretty well. So that way you don't run into the issue when you're trying to get these off again for repairs that it ends up getting so stuck on that it's an issue. So put those on. All right, so now the important part is you're going to want to take this, put it on the ground, take your stator, make sure you hold the wires off to the side so that way it doesn't get caught when reinserting the stator back into the hub. And then you want to make sure that you line it up as good as you can, right? And it's going to suck right back in really quick. And see how it just snaps in? You want to go ahead and take your motor plate, align the screws, putting a little bit of Loctite on all these to make sure that they stay in place. Obviously your motor gets banged around a lot, and you don't want to get any of these loose. Now, one thing of note when putting and screwing these screws back in is that you want to do this in a star pattern, okay? So take it in. Start on this side. Okay. Then go to the opposite side. Did that one, now I'm gonna come over here. Okay. And now that that's done, you can go ahead and put the axle block on the other side. Now that we've put both axle blocks on, and make sure that they're in the correct orientation. Sometimes if you don't pay attention, you can easily end up swapping around, but a good tech knows. After you're done with that, you can go ahead and reinsert your motor back into your rails. Or at this time, if you wanted to put bearing covers on, you can go ahead and put the bearing seal from Badger Wheels and put your grease in, and then put the seal cover on and trap it in. But other than that, that's how you do a bearing swap, and see you in the next instructional. All right, thank you for joining us on installing bearings. If you ever need anything, you can always stop by the shop and we can help you out. Until next time, stay riding.